Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and the Kern High School District. With additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
I'm Cece.
And I'm Mikaella. For math homework help, call in Bakersfield 636-4357. Anywhere else, 1-866-636-6284. Email dothemath@kern.org. We're online at dothemath.net and on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
All right, nicely done. So, Mikaella, where do you go to school and what grade are you in?
I go to Reagan Elementary and I'm in 5th grade.
And how is 5th grade?
It's going good.
It's going good? What is the best thing about 5th grade so far this year?
It's probably the games that my teacher has.
What do you mean the games? You guys just play games all day? If you do,
Well,
that's
like-
awesome. But
Like we have PE, like after it, and like it's like kind of like sometimes of a twist or something. Like there's like some like dodgeball, but like of a twist. It's kind of like they call it like a military ball.
okay.
So it's like where you get hit, you go to the other side of the other. Like there's two teams. When you get hit, you go to the other side of the players' teams, and then if any ball goes like past the line, because like there's a line. If it goes past the line, you're allowed to get it, and if you can try to get the other teams by hitting them with the ball.
Oh, okay. So you like that game?
Yeah,
Good. So military ball, they call that, right? Kind of like dodgeball, though?
yeah,
All right. And they're pretty cushiony, soft ones that you guys are using?
yeah.
All right, because I was going to say, it's not like the old days when they're like rubber, wham, it's solid like that. And so anyway, so 5th grade is going pretty well for you. So I need you to help me out with our social media problem of the day. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at it together. So it says, which number is a factor of 135 and a multiple of 3? So first of all, let's talk about what factors and multiples are. So if it says a factor of 135, what does that mean? Do you have any idea what that means, if a number is a factor of another one? Like 2 would be a factor of 6. So that means 2 can go into 6. Does that make sense? What else could be a factor of 6? What else can go into 6 besides 2?
3.
3, right? So 2 and 3 are factors of 6, all right? So we need a number that goes into 135, excuse me, and a multiple of 3. Do you know what multiples are?
Like skip counting.
Okay.
By 3.
So if we're going to skip count by 3s, we go 3.
6, 9, 12.
There you go. So those are multiples of 3. So we need to see which one of those is a factor, so it's got to be less than 135. So which one of those could it possibly be? Or which ones
think
can we
it's
knock
a-
out?
We can knock out A and B.
We can knock out A and B, right? Because 200 and 300 are definitely not factors of 135. They don't go into it. So now we have C and D, 30 and 45. We need to see which of those numbers is a multiple of 3. Or are they both?
Well, for the factor of 135, I got 45.
And how'd you get 45 so quick?
I just added 45, 45. I got 90. And then like added another 45.
And you got 135, right?
Yeah.
So you skip
Perfect.
counted 45s.
Yeah. Not many kids skip count 45, but that's what you
hey,
did.
that works.
So 30 and 45 are both multiples of 3. But only one of those will go evenly into 135. So you're thinking D is the correct answer, right? All right, let's see if D is indeed the correct answer. There you go. D is indeed correct. First problem done. Easy enough. The most difficult part of the day is now over. How's that feel?
Good.
All right, there you go. Feel pretty good. All right, hey, don't forget, Holiday Lights at Com is happening right now out at Com. You can win tickets to Holiday Lights at Com. All you have to do is give us a call at Do the Math. Phone numbers are at the bottom of your screen periodically throughout the program. Simply call in, we do your math problem, and you'll win yourself some tickets to Holiday Lights at Com, just like Peter did yesterday. Time now for today's Math in the News. All right, today's Math in the News, we are fortunate enough because when the holidays come around, a lot of people go to traditions.
Yep.
And one of the traditions is Holiday Lights that we were just talking about. But a lot of people go see the Nutcracker here in Bakersfield. And that's kind of why you're here, Erica, today.
Yes, a little bit.
So Erica, tell us your role with the company.
I'm our artistic director of Civic Dance Center, and we are working on our 46th annual production of the Nutcracker.
All right.
And it is definitely a Bakersfield community staple.
Now, how did you get into dance?
I went to see the Nutcracker when I was about 5 and was just so moved by what the dancers were doing on stage, the costumes, the lights, the music, and I told my mom, I want to do that.
So it was exciting and
Yes.
things, and you said, that's what I want to do.
Yes.
So how soon after that did you actually start?
I believe I started taking class with Civic by January or February. I was taking class and performing with them in their June show.
Okay, good. So
Yeah.
you were like, that's what I want to do, and ever
Yep.
since you've been with it.
Yep.
All right, great. So I see you've brought a couple of dancers with you today.
I
So we've
did.
got Ella and Grayson.
Yes.
And how long have they been with the company?
Let's see, Ella, how many years have you been dancing?
I've been dancing for 12.
12 years for
Well,
Ella.
she's only 13, right? I'm only kidding.
Senior in high school. And I have Grayson, who's also a senior. And how long have you been dancing? 8 years.
All right, great. So how often are you guys practicing to get ready for the Nutcracker?
We do technique class a couple times a week. They're in classes for conditioning and strength to be able to maintain rehearsals, but rehearsals are on the weekends, and that's about 5 or 6 hours, Saturday and
Well, I was
Sunday.
going to say, because conditioning and strength,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people think, well, you're dancing all day,
Yeah.
but you've got to be incredibly strong.
Yes.
And balance is a big thing also.
Yes. Yeah.
So as they're moving and things like that, we're going to try a little bit of math into this.
Okay.
So some of the angles
Yep.
that they're using, are you guys able to show us a little bit of that?
Yeah. Well, for instance, we have something we call half height or 45 degrees, and that's if we were to go to the front, you would have your leg at about a 45-degree angle off the floor. And then you want to show them 90 degrees is our full height.
And how long, like if I said, all right, let's see how long you guys can hang with this, right? But this is kind of at their limit, right? It's
Yes.
not like they do this and
Relax.
they hold that pose for a long time.
Not typically. About,
Okay.
I mean, maybe a total of 6 to 8 counts.
Okay, because you're constantly moving. It's not like
Yes.
you're a statue.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So rhythm and beats.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that and what you guys
The
do?
most common counting we do and phrasing is 8 counts. So, for instance, we can show them tendu. That's usually 2 counts, and you would go out. You go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But if we were to do a dégagé, that's twice as fast. So that means you're in on the accent on the count. So you would be and 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. And are these moves used pretty frequently, or is this
Yes, this is
designed
all-
for a certain type of dance?
This would be part of what is in their technique classes, part of that conditioning. We would do sequences of these different steps that.
And let's say somebody comes in, let's say you've got somebody 5, 6 years old like yourself, right?
Yep.
And they go, I want to be a ballerina. And you get them into these conditioning classes. How long is it taking them to learn this as far as the movements and being able to do something like that?
Refining it takes years and years of practice. And with those younger ones, we're working a little bit more with like simple rhythm and body mechanics. Like we teach them like, to try and like feel the music and bounce with that or step and clap to the counts.
Is there a time or an age when it's easier for you to get students that you can work with them?
Honestly, some kids, it's just an innate feeling and they've got it when they're 2 or 3 years old.
Okay.
Others, they get that bug when they're 7 or 8, and any time is a good time.
So let's say a high school kid,
Yeah,
right? Like right now, it's like, hey, you
Yes.
know what? I saw what they were doing. It looks pretty cool. I
Yes.
want to give it a shot.
yeah.
Is that something that they're going to be able to develop easily, or is it going to take a little time because they're a little older?
It takes a little bit of time regardless, but yes, the older you get, a little bit more challenging it is.
Okay. How many people do you have dancing in that show?
In the Nutcracker, our cast, we've got about 160 dancers.
And what are the age level? Like, what's the high and low?
6 to, I think, our oldest might be 50s.
I thought you were going to go 6 to 60. I'd be like, hey, old man, you didn't have 60 around. I'd be done. I'd be in the audience. I'd be like, hey, you know what? You're doing an excellent job over there. Keep going like that. All right, so symmetry is another thing that's big in math, and it's pleasing to the eye.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about symmetry in dance.
Well, it comes into play in several different ways. We have symmetrical lines, so show them an arabesque where you're, able to hit the line. The arm is matching the line of the legs there.
Okay.
Also, go ahead and relax. When we're staging pieces, you want to have, maybe you have 4 in a line, and then you would put people in the windows typically, so audience can see everyone on stage, and so then you might have 5 people in those windows on stage. Symmetry also comes into when they're partnering. Do you want to show them?
I was going to say, because it
forward just a little bit.
Seems like choreography,
Yes.
the same
Yeah.
with dance, swim.
Yes.
Same kind of thing, but we're just absent of water here,
Yes.
right? So.
Yeah, so go ahead. When they go into this right here, this little promenade, he's got to match, and she's got to match his line. Tuck that toe, good. and they work together, again, matching lines so that they've got the right kind of balance and opposition together to make the whole piece fluid.
And you guys make it look so easy.
They do.
You know what I mean? With the little bit of room that you've got right here,
Yes.
you're able to confine everything in this little bit of room.
Yeah.
And it looks so easy. I know one thing. Can we focus on the shoes just a quick moment? I know it doesn't have anything really to do with math, but
Yeah.
so tell us about the shoes.
They're both wearing ballet flat shoes, technique shoes for a flat class. Typically, Ella she'll put on point shoes, and she'll be performing in point shoes. That's a harder shoe.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of, right?
Yes.
You see that on
Yes,
the ends
on
of the
point.
shoes.
Yes, yeah. So then they can stand on their toes.
How long can you stand on your toes like that?
Oh gosh, now 5 minutes.
Not now. I mean, come on. At your prime, you were like,
Yeah, I was in rehearsal for 3-4 hours. Yep, just no problem.
does that strain a lot?
Yes.
I mean, because I'm sure the conditioning, you
Yeah.
work towards that.
Yeah, no, it does. Your feet, they ache. You lose toenails. You get your calluses.
Well, you got to build it up, right?
Yes.
All right, so I think one more thing we want to talk about is patterns that we would see during dance.
Yeah, especially in classical dance, they were big on repeating phrases or sections of choreography. So you might have something like, do 2 balancés, you have balancé right and a left and a soutenu, and then they would repeat that going maybe the other way. So give them that 7. 8, you have 1 and 2 and 3, hold 4, go left and a 6 and a 7 and 8. And so you have that 8 counts, but you got both sides in, so you have the symmetry of right and left within that phrase, and then you could go on to a new 8 count.
Okay.
Then you could potentially go back and repeat all of that again.
So in your heads, you guys are doing this counting also, or is it just muscle memory and you're going?
Yeah, they
Okay.
count, yes.
Now, they're working pretty well together.
Yeah.
Do they partner up a lot, or is it just whoever you're with, you need to be ready to go? Or is it?
They've been partnering together, I think this is our 3rd year, right? 2nd or 3rd year. And so they are very familiar with each other. And but if Ella were to have to go and work with another partner, she has developed that sensitivity to pay attention to someone else, and vice versa for Grayson.
So is there a lead?
Actually, yes and no.
Okay.
It might change depending on the step for a lot of the time. Okay, let's show him like a little baby lift, like just a little like entrechacat. For instance, she's in her susu, and see she did an extra little lift with her arms. That
Okay.
was his cue to like go ahead and go into the plie before the assist.
Now, a lot of the vocabulary that you're using right now, some students are going to go, that's not an English word.
French, yes.
So I was going to say,
Yes.
what is the language? And so that's where this is coming from.
Yes, yeah. French is the most common language for ballet, but if you were in Italy, they'd speak to you in Italian.
Well, if we were doing operas and things like that, right?
Yes, but at the same time, they're still going to call it a plie. So you could go to Italy and take the class with a teacher who's maybe
So
speaking.
it is a plie, but they're talking about it in Italian.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I know that this has been very educational for me and a lot of the students watching it and stuff like that, talking about the different math behind dance and stuff like that.
Yes.
Because as I said, there's a lot of things, and people go, there's no math in that, but we just illustrated literally, the math behind all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So the Nutcracker is coming up.
Yes.
So when, where, how do people get there? Whatever you
Yeah.
can tell us about it.
Yes. Nutcracker is at the Mechanics Bank Arena.
And we've got that graphic up
in
there.
the theater, yes. December 8th, 9th, and 10th. And you can see Grayson and Ella do Sugar Plum and Cavalier on the Saturday evening performance and the Sunday matinee.
So Saturday evening, Sunday matinee, Grayson and Ella right up there.
Yep. Yes.
So is this something that you guys look forward to every year, or you're like, oh, we got the Nutcracker again, and I know we got other stuff, but we got the Nutcracker to do?
No, I love it.
It's one of the most performed repertoires, and most companies, large companies throughout the world, they do a series of Nutcrackers every season.
The last thing I want to ask you, because there are probably a lot of dancers that would like to have certain roles.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of competition, and how do you get through that? Like, I mean, you evaluate them as they're going through things, but is that a lengthy process, or you're like, all right, you got it, you don't?
For our Nutcracker, we do an audition process for our students who are invited, because it is such a big commitment, and it does take a certain caliber of dancer. And yeah, the competition can be pretty fierce sometimes, but we try and cultivate a more familial atmosphere and a cheer your friend on through the experience to, stave off any of that like bitterness.
Wait until they get to Broadway for something like that, right? And stuff like that. All right, great. Grayson, Ella, thank you very much for coming in, spending a little bit of time with us here on Do the Math. Erica, lovely to see you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing all of the math behind the dance.
Thank you for having us.
That is today's Math in the News. All right, once again, in studio with us, we've got Mikaella, a 5th grade student from Reagan Elementary, and you are working with fractions right now in class, correct?
Yeah.
All right, head on over to the board. You and Cece are going to start working on some. So, Mikaella, what I'd like you to do is simply write any fraction up on the board right now. Any fraction that you would like. Oh, that is so close, because I thought she was going to go 3/4 for some reason, I thought, but you got 3/7.
I was going with 3/5 was the one I was. I was
we're
going
all
for.
in the right
Okay.
neighborhood. All right, so Mikaella, talk to Cece about what those numbers mean, and then Cece, what I'd like you guys to do is add another fraction to that.
Sounds
all right?
great.
Take it
Okay,
away.
Go ahead. So what do we know about the top number?
The top number is the numerator.
Good. And the bottom number?
The denominator.
Fabulous. We've got a numerator, we've got a denominator. How would we read this fraction?
3/7.
Very nice. Okay, good. Okay, so I think that pretty well covered what you want us to cover right there?
That is.
Fabulous. So we're
Now,
ready to add.
How about
Wow.
if you take a like denominator,
Okay.
do an addition problem, then do something with an unlike denominator?
Fabulous. Okay, let's do it. So let's go ahead and we're going to add something sevenths. So you decide what you want the numerator to be. Maybe you. Fabulous. Oh, I like it. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and add that fraction. Talk me through it.
So how I'd add it, since the denominator is the same, the denominator for the answer would be the same. 3 plus 4 is 7, so that would also be 7.
Good.
If I ever had to simplify that or anything, it would just equal to 1.
Fantastic. And how did you know that 7/7 is 1?
Because, for example, if there's a pie split up to 7 pieces, and it's just all 7 pieces, and that's the whole thing.
Right, exactly
just-
right. Okay, I love that because you're talking about that's what a fraction is, right? This is the pieces, or these are the pieces of, that's the total number of pieces. I like that. That's fantastic. So 7/7. And then, of course, also what we know about fractions is that it's really a division problem too, right? 7 divided by 7 gives us our 1 also. So that's fantastic. Okay, I like it. So then let's move on and let's do some unlike denominators. I'm going to go ahead and give you this one. Let's do 1 A third. We'll start out with some small numbers. Let's go ahead and just do 1/3 plus 1/2. Do you know what we're doing here? What are we doing here?
So we're basically adding these, but like how I would normally see it, I'll just see it as like it has like, can I draw?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like for example, as in circles, I'll do like 1/2 of that, and then just 1/3, and I'm just adding those. So.
And what do I call them if I've got a 1/3 part and a 1/2 part? How do I do that? Does it turn into halves or thirds or fifths or?
Pretty sure like you just add the 3 and 2. Pretty sure.
So I get fifths.
I think so.
You think? Okay. So if we were to do that, if we were to add it that way, go ahead and show me what you would get, and let's talk about it.
I realize it'll be less.
Okay. So what are you thinking now?
I don't know.
That's okay. Okay, it's okay. You're fine. Okay, so what we're going to do, because that really is the question, what are we calling these, right? Because before we said we had 3/7, we have 4/7, right? So we had sevenths. So here we're saying we have thirds and we have halves. I don't really know how to kind of combine those together. I don't know how to take this piece and add it to this and then call it what, right? Do I have halves? Do I have thirds? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to say, okay, let's figure out what they have, and we're going to go back to that idea of the factors and multiples, like we did in the earlier problem, the media problem of the day. So we're going to say, okay, what could I break this up into, and what could I break this up into that would be the same number? So so that I have a certain, instead of thirds and halves, I have something that's the same. And so we're going to talk about multiples. So if I take thirds and I say I'm going to break them up into even pieces, right? So I'm going to say, all right, my thirds, I could break those up into half, and now what do I have? I don't have thirds now, I have what?
Eighths.
Well, here
Or,
were your
six.
here were your original lines. Okay, so now we have a sixth, right? So we know that 1/3 is the same thing as how many sixths?
Like
Well, you have these colored, right?
2/6.
Yeah, 2/6. Okay, so we know that 1/3 is the same thing as 2/6. Now, does this kind of give you maybe a little hint as what we're going to do with our halves?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with your halves?
I'll put like the same thing. 6 as the denominator.
Ah,
Since
okay.
it's half, I'll put 3.
Exactly right. So if we took our pie again and said, okay, I know I can break this up into 6 pieces, and that gives me 3, and you're precisely right. We need to have this common denominator, just like that earlier problem, and this is how we get here. Okay, so really we're saying to ourselves, what can I multiply here, and what can I multiply here that's going to give me the same thing, right? Okay, and then you're right. The numerator, whatever I multiplied here, in this case, I took it into 2 pieces, so that's how I got my 6. If I do that, I need to multiply my numerators, will give me my 2, and then your 1/2, exactly like you said with the 36. So go ahead and answer that one now, and we'll see what happens. Fantastic. That's exactly right. And then can we simplify that? No, it's done. Okay, and we're right. So we could pick up now, like if we had little pieces, if these were actual pieces we could physically pick up, I could pick up those 2, I couldn't put them there, and I would see that I have 5/6. Nice job.
There you go, nicely done. So great work on fractions, adding them with like denominators and unlike denominators. And I'm glad how you guys talked about that, and I'm especially pleased with how you drew yourself a little picture to kind of understand it first, to get your ideas, what you were trying to add together. So nicely done. Have you ever thought about being a ballerina or doing any dance?
Nope.
Nope, nor have I. Cece?
I was.
You were?
Yes.
You were a ballerina?
Yes.
Ooh, maybe we'll have, because I know Sophia and Mackenzie were practicing a little bit in the back there.
Oh, okay.
Doing their moves
I could do ballet, tap, jazz. We'll figure out maybe a hip hop. No, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. So maybe we'll put all 3 of them together and see what comes out of that. But anyway, for some great work so far today, Mikaella, you've got yourself passed to COM, so congratulations on that. You'll be able to go out and check out. They've always got some new and exciting things out at COM, so congratulations on that. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30 most Tuesdays and Wednesdays. We'll be back with more right after this.
I'm Cece. We are out here at the Houchin Blood Bank, and I'm here with Jessica, and she's gonna go ahead and explain to us first what's the process for us going to if we wanted to donate blood.
The process is very easy. First thing you want to do is come in with your picture ID. Once you have your picture ID, you're going to get registered. Once you get registered, you get to the screening room. In the screening room, there's 46 questions and educational materials that you have to read. Once everything is answered, they're going to check your vitals. If you pass vitals and the screening process, then you come to our location in the back to donate blood.
Okay, and I know there's a testing process for hemoglobin or something that also has to happen.
Yes, it's the iron check. We have to make sure that for the female and male donors are different numbers. For females, you have to have at least 12.5, no higher than 18.2, and for males is 13.0, no higher than 18.2.
And what is that for?
Hemoglobin is what carries our oxygen, so we want to make sure that if you're low, we're not taking that from you because you need your blood, but if it's on the higher end, that means your blood's a little bit on the thicker side, so we don't want to take that away from you either.
Awesome. Okay, so we have a volunteer over here that is going to be donating some blood, so we're going to go ahead and see how this process works. He's obviously been tested and passed his test. And so what is he donating today?
He's donating whole blood today. We're taking his red cells, plasma, and platelets today.
And so I understand that there's a different process if we were not going to give whole blood. We could actually just give.
Yes, that process is apheresis, where you donate platelets and plasma, and red cells is just separated components over there.
Okay.
The machine does all the work.
So in this process, we've got him, as it goes into this bag, I see the machine is rocking it. Why is that?
It's mixing back and forth. There's an anticoagulant inside that we don't want the blood to clot.
Okay, so that's that. So there was already a fluid inside that bag.
Yes, an additive solution.
Okay.
Yes.
How much do you take, generally speaking, from each donor?
The average is 480 milliliters. In his case, because he's a male donor with more volume, we can take more from him. So his will be 525.
Okay, and then there's something about there's a conversion or something that you have to do. How much blood is being taken that converts? I see a chart over here.
So that conversion chart is in case our machines are not working properly, they haven't been QC, we use this conversion. So instead of collecting mLs, we're going to collect it in grams.
Okay, I see. Jeremy, you're going to talk to us about that conversion?
Yes, so for every unit, for every gram of blood drawn, we receive 95% of that will be translated into milliliters. Okay. So for every 1 gram is 0.95 mLs.
So how long does this process generally take?
Donating whole blood takes an average of 8 minutes.
Okay, and when we talked about the platelets and donating other, what was it, platelets and
other products.
Yes, so that's a completely different share.
Yes,
And,
very different.
Okay, and you said that is a much longer process.
Yes, it depends on the donor and depends on their platelet count. So the higher the platelet count, the less time the donor's going to spend on the machine.
Okay, all right, well, we're going to continue to see some of the rest of this process when we come back.
Well, we want to say thank you to Houchin Blood Bank for having us out there, also Crystal for working this out, and Cece,
Yes.
you had some fun over there, huh?
I did, and I learned so much.
Did you pull up the sleeve eventually?
So I really thought initially when I initially went out, I thought I was going to have to.
Well, that's why I
and-
sent you out there, because I was like,
right?
yeah, draw that blood out.
I said I would, but they ended up having volunteers, so yeah.
All right, good. So that stuff's pretty interesting, right? Learning about blood and stuff like that. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look and see what blood is made up of, because what they did is they had whole blood right there. And we can see that blood consists of different types of cells. So we've got red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and plasma. And we can see down here, this gives you a description of what all of these do. Platelets help clot. So it helps if you get cut, punctured or something like that and you're bleeding a lot, the platelets will help clot the blood to stop the bleeding. The white blood cells, I believe you've learned this also while you were there, is something that you do not want to share.
Right, which is why when they take the blood, they really have to pull everything apart and make sure that they're only giving the things that they can to other people, yeah.
Right, because I know that there's times when you want to do donate plasma, And that's a different process and a little bit lengthier.
Yes, that was very interesting to watch, those that were doing that as well.
That's right, because I'm sure you've had people there that were
Oh, yeah.
doing all sorts of things.
Yes, there were
and,
quite a few.
and it's always good to give blood anytime you can and as often as you can. And I know there are restrictions on some people why they can't, but they would
Right.
like to. But if you're able to, and once you're of age, by all means, at least once.
Right. And a lot of schools will have the Houchin Blood Bank, their
Having to drive right
vehicle,
there at the school.
come right there, and they'll do it at the school, yep.
All right. Well, you know what? We are going to go to a problem that you guys are going to work on right
Okay.
now. So let's take a look at it. We've got it underneath the camera right here. And this is to figure out, you've got the whole blood, but how much of it actually are you going to be able to use as in milliliters? So what we're going to do is we're going to take the gram weight, so what the blood weighs, and we're going to take away the bag, and then we're going to divide it by 1.056, and that'll tell us how many milliliters we have.
Fantastic.
All right, so over to the board, young lady. You guys are going to work on this together. So we have 574 grams of blood.
Go ahead and write that up. So
574 minus the 99.
So let's go ahead and put it, we're going to make a fraction out of this from what it looked like. So let's do this.
Yeah, just write it next to it.
Okay, so then we're going to do the minus up here. So minus 99.
That is all going to be over 1.056.
So one just on in the I'm having trouble. 1 point, what do you say,
0.056.
Okay.
And that will give us the milliliters
Okay.
that we have.
Okay, so my first question to you is, why are we subtracting the bag? Why do you think we have to subtract the weight of the bag? Are they weighing it with the bag or without the bag? I mean, if they're going to take somebody's blood out, where does it go?
In the bag.
In the bag, right? So if we want to know the weight or right of the amount of blood, we need to go ahead and say, okay, I know what the bag weighed before. I better take that out so I just have the blood amount. Okay, so let's continue. So first question, what are we going to do first? So we have something over this. And so now, have you done order of operations? I'm sure you have, right? So how do you normally do your order of operations?
No, we're going this.
So we always talk about our grouping first. So this division symbol is like a grouping symbol. We say, okay, this top part has to happen first. So let's do the 574 minus 99.
You could just write it a different way.
Nice. Very nice. Okay, so now let's go ahead and say, all right, this whole total, this top part is 475. So let's go ahead and write down 475. And let me move this board up just a little bit to give you some room.
Or if you
Okay.
want to, I guess you could put it to the left of that original one.
Right, so our numerator is now 475. And now it's still over, right? So we still have that fraction, and we still have our denominator, right? Okay, so go ahead and write that up. So divided by, or with the fraction bar, the 1 point. Okay, so we talked earlier about fractions also meaning division, right? So let's go ahead and we're going to use our handy dandy calculator. We are not going to use long division on this. You know how to use that?
Yeah, I can do it.
Tell me all about it.
I don't know that much. I just have
Which number goes in first? Do I put in this one or this one? Because we're doing what divided by what? Is it this number divided by this number or this number divided by that number?
yes, that one.
Yeah, correct. So we're going to do this one first, the 475, divided by, and then we've got the 1.056. And equals, there you go.
It's a bunch of numbers.
Yeah, it's going to be a bunch of numbers. So let's go ahead and so we've got the 449. And then let's go ahead and say, since there's a 0 right here, it's 0.810. Let's go ahead and stop with a 0. That's a nice cutoff point. So go ahead and write up that answer then.
And move all the way over to the left side,
so we'll
and we
put
can
it
work
here.
a little bit there.
So that's a nice place to round because that next number was going to be a 0. So let's stop there. That's a good place to round.
And let's round it to the nearest 10th.
Oh, we want to round it to the nearest 10th
Please.
now. So where is our 10th position? It is. So how are we going to round this?
Or just, since there's like a 1 right there, it's like less than 5. We just like we don't redo anything to the 8, we just remove the 1.
Right, exactly right. So it's, yeah, underneath 5, we leave it alone. If it's 5 or more, what do we do?
Just add 1 to the 8.
Yeah, we round it up right to the 9. Okay, so in this case, our answer is, I like it.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the easy way. Just eliminate the 1.
let's
We don't
just
have to
get rid of
rewrite
it.
it
We
again.
don't
Just
need
get
it
rid of the
anymore.
1.
I
So
like it.
do me a favor, clear your calculator and put in the, so it should be a C or AC for all clear or something like that.
There we go.
All right, so go ahead and just put in the 475 again, divided by, and instead of 1.056, let's go 1.06 and see what you come up with and if it's the same as that by rounding the number first.
What'd you get this time?
448.
Oh. Okay, go ahead and write that up. So you got 448 point. Let's go to the hundredths place. Okay.
So it does make a difference because sometimes people will be like, I don't want to write 1.056, let me just round that. But there's a reason you can't round it
Right.
because it will give you a totally different
Right,
answer.
right.
And when you're looking for a specific weight of something, you want it to be as accurate and precise as you possibly
Right.
can.
Now, if you're doing estimation, that might be different. But when we are trying to get this precise with blood,
Yeah.
no.
So there you go. So nicely done, ladies. And you know what? We're going to check out more with Houchin Blood Bank right now.
We are back at the Houchin Blood Bank. We've got Jeremy here and also Zach. They're going to be talking us through the process. But before we get into the actual lab, question we forgot to ask in the first segment was the squeezy ball. We saw them doing the squeezy ball. What's that for?
You want to be squeezing, you want to be pumping, you want to get your blood flowing, and that'll help keep the blood flow.
And I know that we're going to be breaking down this blood into 4 components. Remind me the 4 components.
Well, you want to break it down into white cells, plasma, and red cells.
Okay.
We don't break it down into platelets back here.
Okay.
That is a different process.
Okay, I see. All right. So Zach, you're going to be checking in that blood, and let's see what we do from here.
So initially the blood comes with these test tubes. These will be sent to a third-party company that will perform all of the testing on blood types and other various things. This will go to lab. So I'm just going to set these aside and these will go into this refrigerator device right here. Right now I'm going to perform an initial inspection just to make sure that all of the identification tags match each other and then that there's no defects or any immediately obviously problematic things with the bag itself.
And so why do you have so many bags?
Because it's going to be split off into several different products, they all need to be identified as coming from the same donor.
And then what's going to be their next step in this process now that it's weighed?
Now that it's weighed, we're going to arrange the bags in a safe arrangement so that way we can place it inside of our centrifuges.
Okay, and we're going to go ahead and do that.
We're going to do that right now.
All right, fantastic. Let's go.
So we have arranged the bags to fit inside of the centrifuge cups without breaking open any cannulas.
Okay.
Then we are balancing out the units themselves on scales with rubber bands to make sure that it is equal. Just like your washing machine, you don't want it imbalanced. You want it to be perfectly balanced to get a good separation of the two.
Okay, and it is so sensitive that those 2 rubber bands make a difference.
Yes,
That's amazing. Okay, so we're ready to put it in the centrifuge.
absolutely.
All right, Zach, go ahead and let's see this happen. So a centrifuge, if you don't mind kind of walking us through what the centrifuge is, what it does, that would be great.
Well, just like your amusement park ride, it will rotate very quickly around. We'll start the device. It will rotate at 4,700 RPMs for 9 minutes. At the effect afterwards, we'll have plasma on top and red cells on the bottom because the red cells are more dense than the plasma.
All right, so 9 minutes.
9 minutes.
All right, let's see it. We can already see that there's, oh wow, you sure can see the difference. Look at that.
It's a nice clear separation.
Absolutely. Okay, so then what is our next step?
Our next step is to apply spring pressure with the 2 boards there. Then we'll add a hemostat or a clamp, the blue clamp that you see there, will be added to the line to prevent the plasma from going into the filter and instead going into the bag that we prefer, which is our extra satellite, to make 2 different products.
And then what is going to be our next step after this?
Our next step is to prime the filter and the red cell with add cell preserver.
Okay.
And that will be suspended on a filter rack.
And then what are we doing with the other?
The plasma will be placed inside of a basket and then prepared for freezing in our thermogen.
Okay, so it's done.
Yes.
So we're taking care of that. We're just working on the red blood.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome.
A lot of fascinating stuff going on with the blood and blood types and how they do it and separate it and things like that. And you were saying one of the greatest things that you found out that day was...
By far the most interesting thing. Well, okay, I shouldn't say that. It was all very interesting. The thing that I guess I really, really learned was the whole centrifuge, in order to keep it balanced, rubber bands? They use rubber bands.
Well, you've got to use something and that's...
My mind was blown.
You thought it was going to be more complicated or high-tech than that?
I was like, I
Some
just saw
sort
this-
of a belt maybe
there
or
was,
something?
There was literally like this basket of rubber bands, and I'm like, they really like their rubber bands. And then no, that was really it. They just kind of plucked some out and made sure that they weighed the same. And
Now, we're going to see, because I know John and Brian will probably remember this, but we'll see how, if you do. You might be a
Okay.
little young for this one, but you remember the Rubber Band Man by the Spinners? Rubber Band Man?
Unfortunately, yes.
There you go. Brian's in the back going, he's not that old. Well, we know he is. You remember that at all, or is that like a little bit on? You're like, all
when
right.
would that have been? Because I'm old.
There you go, in the mid-'70s. So Johnny and I
I
are
was
that
born
one, Rubber
in the
Band Man. There you
mid-'70s,
go.
okay.
All right, so anyway, they were talking about the centrifuge and stuff like that. So why don't you kids go over to the board, and we've got a problem for you to work on. So it said the centrifuge ran at 47 RPMs. So why don't we go and put that number up there, 4,700 RPMs.
I'll write this stuff up.
For 9 minutes. How many revolutions did it complete?
Okay.
So Mikaella, what do you think you need to do with those numbers? And go ahead and work with Cece on how you want to figure out that problem.
I don't know, like,
So I guess really, actually, I didn't write everything down that I needed to for that 4,700. What did the 4,700 mean again? Do you remember?
nope.
What did that mean again?
Revolutions per minute, RPMs.
Okay, so revolutions per minute. Okay, that works better.
So the first thing I'm thinking is doing long division.
So you're going to divide it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do 9 divided by 4,700.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause you for just a minute because I know that that's actually gonna be a lot of work. So let's talk first again about what revolutions per minute mean. So we're doing this many revolutions per how many minutes? So if I say per minute, how many minutes do you think that means?
Well, this is 9 right there.
Well, this says 9. You're exactly right. So when I write it this way, it kind of looks like a division problem, right? But if I say revolutions per minute, so 4,700 revolutions per minute, am I saying per 9 minutes, or am I doing per 1 minute, or what does that mean?
And before you guys go on, I'm very glad that you brought that up because the way she wrote it would make you think, if you weren't sure, that you're
Right.
going to divide because
Right.
using the division symbol
Right,
there.
I did do that.
But revolutions per minute. So think, yeah. So you guys go ahead. I just
so
wanted
it's
to
the
bring that
same
up
thing
real
if I
quick.
say to you, if you're driving, how fast do your parents drive? Pretty fast.
Yeah, well, like not really. Like
Kind of drive pretty fast. Okay, so if we're driving down the highway, right, and we say we're doing 60, I'm going to do 60 what? Do you know what it's called if I'm doing 60 miles per what?
hour.
Hour, right? Okay. Does this mean 60 miles per how many hours? So if I drive for go ahead.
Because you're like 60 miles in like 1 hour.
In 1 hour, right? So this really means 1 hour. If I say per hour, I'm saying 1 hour. So the way I wrote this looks kind of misleading because, of course, like we said, we had that 9 minutes. But if I'm saying 4,700 revolutions per minute, so if I went ahead and got rid of that and said revolutions, so RPM, revolutions per minute, how many minutes would you think that is? Same thing as this, right? It's per 1 minute. So if we're doing per hour, per minute, per second, per whatever, that kind of per, but anyway, just kidding, is 1. So we've got per 1 minute. So if I'm doing this for every 1 minute and I'm doing it for 9 minutes, am I going to divide or what am I going to do? How would I figure out if I was going to do it for 2 minutes? So if instead of this being 9 minutes, I said 2 minutes. So if I know this is for 1 minute, how many would I have for 2 minutes?
I would like either add 4,700 or 4,700 or just multiply by 2.
Ah, right, because it's the same thing, right? Okay, perfect. So we are talking about multiplication or adding how many times?
Is adding the same number twice.
Right, so if I was doing it for 2 minutes, I would add it twice. If I was doing it for 9 minutes, how many times would you add it?
9 times.
Do I really want to do that?
I'll just multiply.
I think I like multiplication too. Okay, so
And
go ahead
here's
and
what
show
we're
us
going to
that.
do.
Yep.
We're going
Okay.
to use our tool.
Fantastic.
So, Mikaella, go ahead and write this down. 42300. That is if you take 4,700 and times it by 9. So tell us what that number is and how many revolutions that would have been altogether.
So how do you read this number here?
42,300.
There you go, 42,300 revolutions for that bag that went through the centrifuge for 9 minutes. And we're going to take one more look. And you know what? We're going to figure out how do you determine the blood type right now.
We are back out here at the Houchin Blood Bank with Jeremy, and we are now at the place where we have processed our blood, and now we're going to store it. So what do we have here?
So we have all of our red cells. Every red cell is a donation from a single individual, and we have different blood types. You have your A group typing, B, O, and AB. and their positive and negative RH types. O donations can be donated to any blood type.
Okay.
And your
So that's a very valuable blood type.
very valuable blood type.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
And then as for AB, you can only donate to AB, but
Okay.
AB can receive from everyone.
Okay, I see. Okay, so then we've got, on these racks, how much blood will be stored on a rack?
We can have 80 units on a single shelf.
Okay.
And then, as you can see here, we've got quite a bit of APOS.
Yes.
Since APOS and OPOS are about the same type, same percentage of donors, about 40% each.
Okay.
However, O is more needed. It's more
Because it can go to
critical.
anybody.
Exactly, and it's used more for traumas.
Okay, when you may not know what their blood type is because you're trying to treat them so fast.
Exactly.
Okay, so how much blood might a person need?
It depends on whether or not it's a surgery or a trauma. Now, a trauma patient can take up to 20 units of red cells on average.
And each one of those bags is how much?
One.
Okay, so they could take up to 20 of those
They
bags.
can take a whole quarter of the shelf. But also they could take the whole shelf. They could need 80 units. They could need 100 units.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. So we really are in desperate need. I see a lot of space that we could fill this up.
And this will all get used.
Yeah, okay. So we need to fill this up. So if we're going to donate, how are we going to do that?
You can locate us at hcbb.com.
Okay, well, I would like to thank you for being on the show with us today. That is from us to you. Thank you for helping us do the math.
Thank you.
And once again, a big thanks to everybody over at Houchin Blood Bank, and maybe next time they'll roll your sleeve up and they'll be like, hey, you know, we didn't get any last time, let's take two this time. Right?
For sure.
All right, so we're going to play a little blood typing game. We're going to do this, all right? But first, we're just going to go over the different types of blood types, which we have A, B, AB, and O. And we can see up here on the screen that what they do is they take and they want to figure out, you know, like, which one is it going to be? Because you don't know just by looking at it, right? So you take some sample and you put it in each of the different types, and you can see basically what is it compatible with, right? So you can tell, all right, that's going to be an A, or it's going to be a B, and then is it going to be RH positive, negative, and we go from there. So you ready to help me? The three of us are going to work on this game together? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at it. So here's our patient, looking spry as ever and lively right there. So drag and drop the syringe on top of the patient's arm. So I'll just go ahead and do that, and we'll, look at that, got ourselves a little bit of blood. We got a little sample. So now we're going to see if we can figure out the type. So we're going to put a little bit in each of them. And we want to see if there's going to be, so what can you see already, Mikaella, between A and B? What difference do you see already with those?
The blood blends in better than B than A. And like A is just, I don't know, it just looks like something didn't go out well.
So this looks like it didn't go well.
Yeah.
And this one does.
Yeah.
All right. So you can take that kind of thinking, but kind of reverse it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this would be like, all right, this is A, right? It is not B. And we're going to see, so it's not going to be O, right? So we've got A, B, and AB. So did it do the same thing with A and B? It did different, right? So we're going to say that this one's going to be A. Now, the RH, was it a positive, like a good thing, like the A, or was it negative, like the B, as far as this last test tube went? So you want to go positive or negative on that? Did it mix like the A, or did it mix like the B?
The A.
It mixed like the A, so we're going to say it positive. You're bloody right. Too bad we don't have Big Mac out here. I know she likes to do that accent and stuff like that. So
So we didn't want it to mix. We wanted it to stay together.
Right, you don't want it
Yeah.
being that consistency right there.
Yeah, okay.
So, now we're going to do a transfusion, all right? So it says that this person is A, the Rh positive. That's what we just figured out, okay? So here are the different bags of blood that we have down here, all right? And she needs 3 bags. Now, if we give her something that's not good, it's going to take one of her lives away. She has 3 lives.
Uh-oh.
All right? So, out of these different types, we know that she is A, Rh positive. So, out of these bags down here, which one do you think we should give her first?
The RH positive.
This one right here?
The-
The first one? So, that's A, Rh positive.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll put this up into the bag. All right, there we go. So she's looking pretty good. We didn't lose a life right there, so we're still good. All right? And we know that O is going to be good for everybody. All right? So now we have an ORH negative. B's, we've got more ORH negative. We got a lot of B with RH negative and AB plus. So we know that it wasn't B, right? So what do you think you want to give her next?
The ORH.
This one?
Yeah.
All right, let's try that. All right, there we go. She got a little smile on her face right there. Do you see that?
Yeah.
And Houchin Blood Bank does too. If you have O-type blood,
They'll take it all.
they want it.
Yeah, because that'll help everybody.
Absolutely.
All right, so we need one more bag, and you've got 3 lives. So you're doing pretty well so far. So what do you think we need to give next?
I would like try the ORH again, but like if that doesn't work, I'll try the AB.
You want to try this one?
Yeah, but like if that doesn't work, I'll try the O.
Okay, well, let's try that, right? Because it does have that RH positive, right? So let's try that. Ooh, do you see her face right there? Ooh. And we even got the buzzer on that. So you said that you wanted to try that, right? Because you knew it was the ARH positive, but it had that B in it also, right? And that's probably what wasn't good. So you said you wanted to try what next?
The ORH.
This one right here? All right, so let's go ahead and put that up there. There you go. Big smile. There you go. So we did well. And the only reason we missed that one is because we wanted to try it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, let's
Yeah,
go ahead
let's
and
go
try
do
it
that
right
one.
there. So nicely done. So Mikaella, did you learn a little bit about something today? Yeah, I mean, you learned a little bit about fractions today, right? You learned a little bit about dance. You learned a little bit about blood and stuff like that. Did you have fun today? Good. That is exactly what we want to hear. Don't forget, we've got the next 2 weeks available for you to win holiday lights at Com. All you have to do is give us a call on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. And until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and the Kern High School District. With additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.